The first time I saw Kevin, he was leaning against the hood of a broken-down car, laughing like the world owed him a punchline. Maya waved me over with that brightness in her eyes I used to mistake for loyalty. "This is Kevin," she said, as if the name should mean something. It did. Not to me, but to her. I shook his hand, felt the clammy grip of a man who survives by charm rather than substance. He had the kind of grin that looks good in photographs but fades fast when the bills arrive. Even then, I could tell, he wasn't a rival. He was an anchor. And Maya, for reasons I still don't fully understand, kept choosing to carry him. We left him that night standing in a parking lot, pitching another one of his world-changing ideas to the empty air. I thought nothing of it. Every relationship has shadows. I didn't know his would stretch this far into ours. For years with Maya built a picture I trusted, the shared mornings, the talk of buying a house, the bank account we called the future. She was sharp, driven, a marketing manager who could sell ice in a snowstorm. I believed she and I were equals. Partners. It wasn't until the cracks appeared that I realized half the foundation had been poured somewhere else. Into Kevin, into his endless schemes, into a past she never fully buried. The night everything began unraveling, the apartment was quiet. I had a report open on my laptop, columns of numbers glowing against the dark. Maya sat across from me, restless, twisting the stem of a wine glass. Her silence wasn't new, but the weight in the air was. She cleared her throat once, twice, the way someone does before stepping off a ledge. "There's something I need to ask you," she said, her voice careful, rehearsed. I looked up. Her fingers tightened on the glass. "Kevin has this opportunity. It's different this time. Real. He just needs..." She hesitated, then met my eyes with a look I'd only ever seen when she wanted something she couldn't quite justify. "He needs your help. He needs you to co-sign a loan." The cursor blinked on my screen, steady, patient. I waited for her to laugh. She didn't. At first, I thought she was testing me. Couples do that, drop small provocations to see where the boundaries lie. But the way Maya held my gaze told me this wasn't hypothetical. "He needs a chance, Jake," she pressed, her voice softer now, almost pleading. "The banks won't listen to him, but they'll listen to you. One signature. That's all. One signature." As if the number of strokes on a page lessened the weight of the risk. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I studied her, the way I'd study a balance sheet that didn't quite add up. Maya was brilliant at persuasion. She could layer emotion over logic until people stopped noticing the holes. Tonight, though, there was something raw underneath it. Not just loyalty, something closer to desperation. "Why him?" I asked finally. "Why is his dream always more important than our reality?" Her mouth opened, then closed. For a moment, the mask slipped. I saw the girl who had once stayed up with me until dawn planning vacations we never took, sketching futures on napkins over cheap diner coffee. Then it was gone, replaced by steel. "You don't understand," she said. "Kevin's not like you. You've always had stability. He only needs someone to believe in him." Stability. She said it like a flaw. I leaned back in my chair, the hum of the refrigerator filling the silence. In my work, I measure risk for a living. Numbers don't lie, but people do, sometimes to each other, more often to themselves. What I saw in that moment wasn't a woman in love with her ex. It was a woman addicted to the idea of saving him, no matter the cost. And me? I was the safety net beneath the safety net. I should have told her no. End of story. But instead I heard myself say, "If he wants my name on his loan, I need to see his plan. In detail." Maya's shoulders dropped with visible relief. She reached for my hand as if I'd just passed some invisible test. "You'll see. This time it's different." I didn't squeeze back. I only nodded, already feeling the ground shift beneath us. Because if there's one truth I know better than most, it's this: the numbers always tell the real story. And I was about to start counting. I didn't sleep that night. While Maya drifted off beside me, her breath steady, I stared at the ceiling, replaying her words on a loop. If you loved me, you'd help him. It wasn't just the ask, it was the shift. Love wasn't partnership anymore, it was leverage. By dawn, I was at my desk, a mug of coffee cooling untouched, bank statements spread across the wood like crime scene photos. At first, I wasn't looking for anything. Just proof, maybe, that I was overreacting. But once you start following the money, you can't unsee the trail it leaves. It was all there, hiding in plain sight. Small withdrawals from our joint account. Venmo transfers tagged with vague notes. Car trouble. Short on rent. Groceries. They looked harmless on their own, almost forgettable. But in sequence, they formed a pattern, consistent, deliberate, damning. By the time the sun broke through the blinds, I had a figure. $20,000. That was the price of my blind trust. 20,000 funneled not into our future, but into Kevin's bottomless pit of failures. I pushed back from the desk, the chair wheels rattling against the floor. My chest felt tight, not with anger, but with something colder, clarity. Maya hadn't just chosen Kevin in moments of weakness. She'd chosen him over me, again and again, dollar by dollar, until the balance sheet of our relationship was drowning in red. For a long time, I just sat there, staring at the spreadsheet glowing on my laptop screen. I thought about the condo we lived in, the vacations we postponed, the quiet promises we made about someday. All of it built on a lie I had unknowingly financed. I should have felt rage. Instead, I felt something sharper. Resolve. By the time Maya padded into the kitchen, rubbing sleep from her eyes, I had already called my lawyer. My voice didn't even shake as I explained what I needed drafted. 2 documents. One to make the debt official. The other to end what we had built. The transformation was complete in that moment. I wasn't just her boyfriend anymore. I was her creditor, her judge, her exit strategy. And she had no idea the clock was already running out. The week before the meeting stretched like a wire pulled too tight. On the surface, Maya was radiant, lighter than I'd seen her in months. She kissed me with a kind of triumphant sweetness, as though I'd finally come around. She mistook my silence for surrender. Kevin, on the other hand, found his confidence overnight. He called me one evening, uninvited, uncharacteristically warm. "Jake, man, I just want to say thanks," he said, his voice slick with rehearsed sincerity. "Maya always said you were too rigid to see the bigger picture, but hey, guess you proved her wrong." I listened to his words while staring at the spreadsheet on my desk. 20,000 in black and white. 20,000 I could never forget. "Looking forward to hearing the plan," I said flatly, and hung up. What surprised me wasn't his arrogance, it was Maya's certainty. She glided through the apartment, humming while she cooked, brushing past me with casual affection, as though we were already on the other side of this argument, stronger for it. To her, the bank meeting was a formality. Carol, my loan officer, was just a bureaucratic hoop to leap through. The loan was already theirs in her mind. But in quiet moments, I caught myself wavering. At night, I'd watch her asleep, her face soft, unburdened, and for a flicker I wondered if I was making a mistake. Was I about to destroy someone I once loved, not because of Kevin, but because I couldn't forgive the betrayal? Love complicates math. It sneaks variables into clean equations. Still, every time doubt crept in, the numbers anchored me. They were undeniable. Each transfer, each withdrawal, a line item spelling out where her loyalties had gone. My heart could argue all it wanted, my ledger had the final word. 2 days before the meeting, I called Carol. I walked her through everything, my voice steady, rehearsed. She didn't interrupt, just listened the way only someone who's seen 1,000 financial disasters can. At the end, she said, "Bring the documents. I'll be ready." That night, Maya curled into me, whispering, "This is going to change everything for him. For us." She couldn't see it, but she was right. Just not in the way she thought. The lobby smelled faintly of polished marble and stale coffee. Kevin strutted in wearing a suit that looked borrowed, his swagger rehearsed, his thin folder tucked under one arm like it contained the cure for gravity. Maya walked beside him, fingers laced through mine, her smile radiant with the certainty of someone who thinks the ending has already been written. Carol met us in a glass-walled conference room. 60 years old, gray hair cropped sharp, her eyes carried the weight of decades spent sniffing out bad bets. She shook Kevin's hand, accepted his folder, and slid it aside without opening it. "We'll get to that," she said evenly. "But first, there are some existing liabilities to review." Maya frowned, confused. I placed 2 bound folders on the table. One slid across to her, the other to Kevin. "What's this?" Maya asked, laughter twitching nervously at the edge of her voice. "Due diligence," I said. She opened the first page. The color drained from her cheeks. Rows of dates, amounts, notations, car payment, rent shortfall, emergency cash. $20,000 meticulously traced from my accounts into hers. Kevin leaned over, squinting, his grin collapsing into something feral. "This is private," he snapped. "No," I replied calmly. "It's mine. And it explains why I can't consider co-signing any new debt until I settle this one." Maya flipped through page after page, her hands trembling. Her voice cracked. "Jake, this isn't—" I cut her off gently. "The second document formalizes the debt you owe me. The third ends our partnership. You'll vacate the condo. You'll begin repayment. Carol is also a notary." The silence that followed was suffocating. Outside the glass walls, bankers shuffled papers, phones rang, life went on. Inside, Maya's world collapsed in real time. Kevin's face twisted, not with love, but panic, the fury of a parasite watching the host sever the cord. "You can't do this," Maya whispered, eyes wet. Carol leaned forward, her pen poised. "Actually, he can. And he just did. Shall I provide the pen?" For a moment, no one moved. Then the tears came, quiet, ragged. Maya's hand hovered over the page, shaking, caught between denial and inevitability. The papers were signed a week later, couriered back to me with the neat, impersonal seal of a notary. No scene, no fight, just signatures. It was almost anticlimactic, the way something as fragile as love could end with the stroke of a pen. Maya moved out quietly, leaving behind a half-empty closet and the faint scent of her perfume clinging to the walls. The condo felt larger without her, though not freer, not yet. Silence can be heavy when it's filled with the echo of what used to be. The debt became official, recorded, documented, a ledger entry that transformed affection into obligation. $20,000, reduced to installments she'll pay month after month, each check a reminder that trust, once broken, doesn't vanish, it calcifies into consequences. Kevin didn't last. The moment Maya's pockets turned inside out, so did his affection. Last I heard, he'd left the city chasing another big idea. The kind that never survives the first invoice. He wasn't my concern anymore. Parasites always find new hosts. And Maya. I don't hate her. I wish I did. Hatred would be easier to carry than this dull ache of recognition, that she wasn't cruel, just unwilling to let go of a man who thrived on her devotion. She mistook bleeding for loving, and in the end, I mistook silence for strength. People keep asking if I regret it. 4 years is a long investment to walk away from. But regret belongs to gamblers, and I was never gambling. I was measuring risk, hedging against loss. And when the numbers told the truth, I acted. That's all. Still, some nights, I sit in the quiet and remember her laughter in the kitchen, the warmth of her hand on mine before the ledger turned cold. Love doesn't vanish with evidence, it lingers, like ink stains that never quite fade. But when the sadness threatens to drown me, I think of that moment in the glass-walled room, the documents sliding across the polished table, the silence after the reveal. For the first time in years, I wasn't the one carrying the weight. And that, I remind myself, was worth every loss. Because sometimes the most profitable choice you can make is to cut your ties, count your scars as dividends, and walk away before the whole house collapses.